Greetings programs, welcome back to the Game Grid. You're back with Gaming Magic Mark. It's Baldur's Gate 3, and in this video what I wanted to do was just share with you why I think you shouldn't sleep on the Bard class as one of your party member choices, and possibly as your main class. Honestly, it's the class that shocked me or surprised me the most. Just, I should have probably known because of, how well received bards are, and they always have been in the tabletop, especially some of the later editions of Dungeons and Dragons. But it's the do anything class. It's going to have a role to play in just about every aspect. And so in this very short video, I just wanted to discuss that and sort of show you a wood half-elf bard, my sort of main character, and I've just respec'd her. So this isn't sort of starting out from the main character creation screen. And I just want to show you some of the bard choices, discuss bard with you, and just to give you an idea that actually maybe a bard is a good idea to have as one of your party members. In all circumstances it's going to be useful, and if it's your main character you're always going to be involved, you're always going to be doing something, whereas some classes are more combat focused, some classes are more support or healing focused. Even when you multi-class some of those roles, you'll adopt that. With a bard it's the kind of do everything class, and there's also some unique abilities that bards have, and unique gameplay features that bards have in Baldur's Gate 3 that make them a lot of fun to play. So let's just go through and pick out the bard here. Now, first level, you can see that they have an element that I really enjoy, the fact that they get hand crossbows as a proficiency. I love that. They start out with light armor and shields. And as you progress your bard, you just got to be careful that you're selecting all the options for that particular level. By the way, this is not meant to be an exhaustive bard discussion, but I just wanted to do a very short video, just kind of say to you, gosh, if there's a class where you think, I don't want to miss out on anything, I don't really want to go down the role of multi-classing too heavily to try and get a build that kind of does a bit of everything. Bard is going to be your class. You can go all the way deep into that and potentially maybe just splash one or two other classes later on when you're feeling confident and you want to do multi-classing. So Bard is a spellcaster, but of course they get their magic from their music and from their words and inspirations, and they very much are about buffing and supporting party members or debuffing the enemy. And so they're great at combat roles. They're very versatile. They can do spell casting to fairly good degree, an excellent degree. They're great for role playing because they have a charisma focus. You can see that's their main primary ability is charisma, and that means that they're, potentially going to be used in as many cutscenes as possible. Not only that, but they can be the face of the party due to that. So if you take a bard as your main class, you are going to probably be the best character to be interacting in most circumstances in the cutscenes or in the choices that you have to make with NPCs, for example, or to progress the story with companions and so forth. Let's just arbitrarily pick any. I particularly like Vicious Mockery. I got to be honest with you. I think that cantrip is a load of fun. Firstly, it places disadvantage on the creature's next attack roll, so already it's debuffing the creature, and it's also potentially really useful at range as well, which is fantastic. It is an action. I wish it was sort of a bonus action, but it's actually an action, and you'll find that most bard spells tend to be in the enchantment, illusion, and sort of conjuration, but it's certainly enchantment and illusion spheres. Okay, or domain classes. Colleges even, sort of bards learn their magic and practice their skills in colleges, I suppose is the fair to say. As far as spells go, they have a great variety of them, and so you can see that they are able to heal particularly well. They also have some of the druidic type abilities, like, for example, animal friendship, speaking with animals. And so if you're going to need those through your playthrough, and I can tell you, here's a bit of a hint, that's going to be very useful, especially the speaking with animals. You're going to have no end of things to do. It's awesome. Also, the controlling elements, things like Bane, things like Charm Person, Sleep, Tasha's Hideous Laughter. These are all awesome spells to kind of get one up on the enemies, and so you're always going to have something to do, even if you're not necessarily within combat range or whatever for what you need to do. You're going to choose a starting instrument as well. I tend to personally prefer flute, just because of how it looks on the character. If you actually go with hand drum, I'm not sure we see it here. We don't see it here, but later on we would. And also the lute, sorry, are particularly large instruments, and you can hide the instrument on your back. But actually, if you want to sort of leave it there, then flute is going to be the least obtrusive. Also, we get, of course, the ability to change ability points around and assign depending on our, certainly most races. And one thing I want to draw your attention to is when we click on our skills here, make particular note of certain skills that you might want to, perhaps emphasize. Things like perception is always going to be really useful, and then things like persuasion or deception are going to be excellent for that. And so your class as a bard is going to be particularly good at skills, and we'll see how that develops later on. Now let's go and level up to level 2 here. Okay, and this is, again, we don't actually pick out any major abilities just yet. Oh, there we go. It shows the hand drum for me. I think I must have just reset it there. The next thing to do is, okay, we go and we choose a spell. All right, that's fine. Let's just go with Speak with Animals. Doesn't really matter at this point. And we could replace our spells as most spellcasters are able to do. Okay, at this point, we are now going to have to, at level 3, we're going to have to make our major choice of the bard progression as things go. And one thing I want you to note is at this point you can also go and emphasize your certain skills and actually get additional benefit in them. So say, for example, sleight of hand, I can effectively improve that. Now notice that it is called expertise. It almost hides it from you. This is very strange, but it's not, in this user interface at this current time, skills with expertise, it's not making a big deal out of it, and it's even possible for you to sort of miss this. But the skills that you have proficiency in, those that you want to kind of double that proficiency bonus, go ahead and choose your expertise at this level. Bards, like rogues, get expertise as a class skill, and that doubles the proficiency bonus. So, for example, if you want to emphasize a bard as a more of a roguish character and fulfill the rogue role in the party, maybe you're leaving Astarion on the bench in the camp, then definitely sleight of hand is going to be great, stealth is going to be great, and deception is going to be great. And you can select those as your your expertise choices, and that makes you effectively almost as good as a rogue, maybe even as good as a rogue at this point. Whereas rogues get expertise earlier, bards get it at level 3, but that still makes a bard an excellent rogue type class. They always were, weren't they? So I'm just going to confirm that. But notice how it's not really emphasized, and it's not even in this left-hand side progression wizard, if you like. So you might miss it. I did. So just check on that at level 3. The other thing is, if I go with a particular subclass, this is the next thing to try to be, making your biggest choice at this point. I sidebarred into the skills there because I didn't want you to miss out on expertise at level 3. But your most important choice at level 3 is College of Law, College of Valor, or College of Swords. These are all your subclasses. Now, College of Swords is awesome because it makes you more of a skilled warrior, more of a warrior with options, and not only that, but it gives you the ability to kind of move your opponents around, even at range, with range skills and all that. College of Swords is awesome. And with College of Swords and College of Valor, at level 6, you're going to get an extra attack. So instead of level 5, like with Fighter, at level 6, you're going to get that extra attack. With the College of Valor, College of Swords, College of Valor also gets medium armor and shields and martial weapons. That's a big difference there. Whereas College of Swords gets scimitars and medium armor. But of course, if depending on your race, you might already have a favored weapon anyway. So it's not that big a deal not to miss out on all martial weapons. But that's the martial weapon element is a big benefit of going with the College of Valor. Aside from combat inspiration. So College of Valor also gets combat inspiration, and that means that you can use it's almost like bardic inspiration, which is another bard ability, and it's a replenishable resource that they have which means that they can influence characters and give them benefits on things like saving throws and so forth. The College of Valor extends that to extra capabilities around combat. Okay, so that if you particularly enjoy that, that is something that might extend that. My favorite subclass of bards is College of Law. There's two reasons for it. It's more of an emphasis on spell casting, okay? But I love this skill here. It's called Cutting Words. I think it's incredible. And not only that, but if you have Cutting Words and you have Counterspell later on in the game, I'm going to tell you how you can do that. Counterspell as a third level spell. You have Counterspell and Cutting Words. Enemy combatants are going to hate you because they're going to be trying to hit, they're going to miss, they're going to be with Cutting Words and other sort of checks and so forth. They're going to be at a distracted sort of negative aspect. In addition, so you can kind of interrupt their flow with distracting words and put them at a disadvantage. And then equally, if you've got Counterspell later on as a bard, which you can do, and I'll tell you how you can get that, then you're also interrupting spells of enemy spellcasters. Incredible. I mean, it just feels like you're owning the battlefield and you're just stopping much of what the enemy can do that's useful on any given turn. Sometimes, as we know, counterspells can be great. Now, if you look under the spell list at level 3, obviously counterspell's not there. It's a level 3. I particularly I love this spell, Cloud of Daggers, but your mileage may vary. Pick whichever works for you. The subclass of College of Law also gets additional proficiencies, and that's something that might be helpful. Arcana, Intimidation, and Sleight of Hand. I don't necessarily think that's such a big deal, especially if you chose them at first. But if you didn't, then those you would get those as proficiencies, full proficiencies as well. And then you can also, replace your spell. Now let's go to level 4. And of course, the big thing here is your feat. All right, you get a cantrip and so forth. And so we go and we pick a cantrip. Now it's just one of these other ones. I quite like Mage Hand. I also like some kind of light spell because of the way that light plays an advantage in combat. Lighting enemies up, is important, and it's always great to be able to do that. You can also pick another second level spell. Let's just do that, just arbitrarily. Blindness. That plays into the battlefield control element. I'm going to click Feat, and of course, the way that I would want to build this particular bard, I would pick Sharpshooter, because I'm going to go dual hand crossbows, and this is very much it's an incredible skill that really kind of sets you apart. It's a bit like Great Weapon Master in a way, but for ranged attacks. So Sharpshooter All In is like Great Weapon Master All In, where you get extra 10 damage at a -5 penalty to your attack roll. But because of your bardic abilities, there's many things that you can do to improve your attack on the enemy or put them at a disadvantage to your attacks, and so that may not have a problem. So I like to pick that, but feats and choices of feats is entirely up to you. It's not a bard thing, but it just plays well into the fact that I want to play with dual crossbows. That's how I'm going to play this bard, okay? Even though it's a College of Law. Level 5, very nice. We get some cool new features. Font of Inspiration, so we get all our bardic inspiration resource back after a long or short rest, and that's the big deal there. Also, our bardic inspiration, which affects so many things, was on a 1d6 die. Now it's on a 1d8 die, which just means that, for example, you improve your buffs, improve your debuffs against enemies as well. You also gain a spell, and at this point we've got level 3, and of course, like I said before, Counterspell is not there. Alright, so what on earth am I talking about? And you'll see in the next... now let's just arbitrarily pick a spell here. I like Glyph of Warding, and I really like Stinking Cloud, so let's go with Stinking Cloud. Level 6, it's the last level I'm going to talk to you about. Now at level 6, your College of Valor, your College of Swords would get an extra attack at this point. The fact that I've chosen College of Law means that I now get Counter Charm, okay, which means that I have you and any allies in a 9-meter radius have an advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. Not that big a deal, but actually sometimes that is a broken ability all by itself, just in certain situations. Gaining spells, great. Okay, we can pick another spell. Let's go with Glyph of Warding this time. Doesn't really matter. But this is the big deal at level 6 for College of Law Bard. It's called Magical Secrets. Ordinarily, the other bards would get it, it's certainly in the tabletop anyway, would get it at level 10. I'm not sure if that's still the case here, but certainly at level 6, College of Law, you get Magical Secrets. And this is where you can pick, for example, counter spell. So it's any, at this point, any level 3 spell or less from other spell disciplines. Okay, so other, like clerics or wizards, and that sort of side of it. You can even choose Spirit Guardians, which I think is amazing. You can choose Fireball, Flight, Haste. You've got Lightning Bolt. You've got so many choices. And of course, let's not sleep on the fact you've got Magic Missile at this point, which is amazing. Hellish Rebuke, which I love as well, and I also make a lot of use of Spike Growth. So now you can be playing, the sort of pseudo caster role without having a multi-class. You're great at combat, especially at range. You're great at controlling and debuffing, buffing your party members. You can control the battlefield with things like counter spells and cutting words if you're a College of Law. Honestly, it is the do everything class. You're going to be healing. You're going to be a healer in a pinch. You won't be as good as, say, a life cleric, but you're going to be an effective healer because of healing word that you can get. It's just absolutely amazing. And the greatest thing is as well, genuinely fun to play because of the fact that bards get many bard-specific answers in the cutscenes. Okay, so even if you haven't got, say, proficiencies in certain skills, persuasion, deception, etc., you're still doing bard things in the cutscenes with companions, but also NPCs and so forth, and that's a lot of fun too. The musical instrument side is great because there's also times where you could, say, stand near another bard in, say, the city or whatever, and they'll start playing. If you start playing your lute or flute or whatever it is, your drum, they start playing as well. You can draw a crowd, and you can also start to do other things which are a bit more bard specific. So very, very fun class to play. I promise you, this is one that if you have at least one of your party members as a bard, you're not going to regret it. Okay, and then just talking about the multi-classing side, you still also got the ability to multi-class, dip into certain classes because it's a charisma specific class. You've got you've got a great ability to multi-class into the other charisma classes, paladin, warlock, sorcerer, for example, and because it's a dexterity class as well, then if you really wanted to get things like sneak attack or whatever, you could multi-class into one level of rogue to get the sneak attack side of things. So you've got the ability to dip, but then still go deep into bard and get all the benefits of that. But just absolutely a do everything class. Do not sleep on that. And one thing that I just want to finish up with, that I haven't told you about, Jack of all trades, which was not mentioned there. Jack of all trades actually is a feature that gives you a benefit on roles that you're not proficient in. You're going to actually get benefits there. And the thing that I like the most about bards that I haven't told you about so far is the Song of Rest feature. Okay, Song of Rest means that you are actually able to, through an ability of your own, have a third short rest between long rests. Instead of just two, you've effectively now given your party an extra short rest that you control. And that means that classes like, for example, monks, barbarians, warlocks, any class that replenishes some of their resources on a short rest are going to love you because you're giving them another chance to get back their abilities and replenish themselves ahead of the next encounter. So wonderful class. I'll leave it at that. I didn't want to go this long, but there we go. I hope that's given you an idea. I promise you it is a fantastic class. Have it in your party if you can, and you won't regret it. Let me know how you get on. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you next time.